Welcome everybody to the April 16th, 2026 meeting of the Seattle Design Commission. Our meetings are recorded on MS Teams and posted on our website. We have one item today, which is the public trust review of the proposed alley vacation for a project that we're calling 410 West Harrison. We have you guys think until 3:30 today, and I think we'll be taking an action. Why don't we go ahead and start with introductions? We have two commissioners who will be attending, who are attending online, but will only be available for part of the meeting. What we're hoping to do for them is after your presentation and when we start, and after any public comment, when we start with commissioner questions, we'll reach out to them first if they're still on the meeting so they can ask anything. Ray, do you want to kick us off with it?
Yeah, sure. Ray Gastel, Planning Commissioner.
Good afternoon, Kevin O'Neill, Transportation Planning Commissioner.
Hi, Brian Markham, Engineering Commissioner.
Hi, Kate Clark, Art Commissioner.
Stephen Real, Architecture Commissioner.
Phoebe Bogert, Landscape Architecture Commissioner and Chair.
Eric and Sharon, would you introduce yourself?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eric Lipio, and I'm the Get Engaged Commissioner.
Thanks, Eric. Sharon? Did we lose him?
Yes, she
She said it could be 15 minutes or an hour, and that's not, I got this. Katie, did you want to?
Good afternoon. I'm Katie Kendall. I'm the Land Use Council for Alexandria on this project.
I'm Christian Gantry at Alexandria Real Estate.
That's you with Rumberg.
And I am Brian Runberg with Runberg Architecture.
Are any of your presenters online today?
I'm doing it online right now.
But no one from your team is
No one
there. Amy, did you want to kick off introduction?
I'm Amy Gray and I work with Seattle Transportation and Street Vacation Program. Everyone, I'm Sarah Ortiz, also working for SDC.
Sean Extran, Hamburg. Jason Dren, Hamburg. Jeremy Phoebus, KPF Civil Engineer.
Rachel Miller, with Hewitt Landscape Architect. Ginger Hutton with Alexandria Real Estate.
We have I think we have one other person, two other people online, Dolores Weens and Erica Puget Sound ADU Builders. Is there anyone else online? We have you till 3:30 and I think we're having a 45-minute presentation.
Yep.
Then afterwards, we'll have public comment and agency comment, deliberate questions, and then deliberation of this.
Okay.
Are you taking us off, Jessica?
Yeah, we will.
Brian's
Let
gonna
me
kick us off.
share my screen. Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, I sign it.
Oh,
This is the pen I stole.
Oh, okay.
This is my pen. That's not bad.
Oh,
Okay, this is Dolores Weens, and you asked me to introduce myself. Hello, and thank you for allowing me to be in your meeting. I'm here as a Seattle resident, and I'm here basically to get educated on all that you guys do and what's going on. Thank you.
thank you, Laura.
Well, thank you. We will start the presentation now for 410 West Harrison. And just briefly, we'd come before the commission for a pre-petition on August 7th. And then we had a subcommittee meeting on January 15th. We took in those comments incorporated within this package. Slide. We're outlining today, these are some of the project goals. We've broken this down into different segments, but these 6 items will tackle under project goals, and we'll go over the subsequent points after that. Next slide. Quick overview for those who weren't present in other meetings, but the team of Alexandria, Runberg, and Hewitt, we all have considerable experience in this neighborhood, Queen Anne as well as South Lake Union, and have done a variety of different urban environments through different groups. So well versed in the neighborhood. The key development objectives, we screened back the building facade just to focus on the ground plane here, but proposals for 8-story multifamily residential project. There's subterranean parking in that. The alley vacation requested is provide these key elements. One is to improve the urban form. We feel it's currently underutilized, want to align with the uptown Lower Queen Anne or the uptown guidelines and make it more walkable, connected neighborhood, as well as identify this as a gateway, informal gateway anyway. Also improve pedestrian safety. There's some vehicle access issues that we'll step through, as well as busy intersection, and also great opportunity to improve the pedestrian experience overall, and improve the pedestrian safety considerably. There's opportunity to enhance the right-of-way improvements through some deep setbacks we'll step through and far beyond code, and improve the perimeter of the site, and with wider sidewalks, planting, et cetera. We'll talk through that, but also enhance the site functionality by combining or consolidating the buildings. It makes them far more efficient, shared access. There's some greater public good for that. Utilities, access, et cetera, costs, which we also step through. So next slide. The existing, we're formatting this from left to right. The left columns you'll see on all the subsequent slides here are existing conditions, or what would be the non-alley side. But so on the left side here, there's a 1-story warehouse on one of the sites. There's an obsolete lab building. Both are vacant currently. And then there's some parking, what is accessory to the business. There's no public parking, but there's accessory stalls to the business on the site as existing. What is proposed is the multifamily residential will be approximately between 200 and 250 units and approximately 165 parking stalls incorporated therein. Next slide.
Yeah, so this is showing the alley vacation process, our target timeline. We are here, public trust meeting. This project is going through a full design review process. So we are targeting a design recommendation meeting sometime in July. And before that, we hope to present this to the transportation committee, likely in May.
Agency review, you see this in your packet. There's three tiers in here. The notes that we got, or the comments we got back from the pre-petition back in August, categorized, as well as the subcommittee, as well as other agency reviews, comments that we've got. I don't know if we need to step through each one of these specifically, but we have incorporated these within the design evolution from which was presented back in August, and addressed it. If there's anything that want further information on this, certainly we can go back through each one of those. And we continue to refine. There's been previous comments that we're simultaneously going through other departmental reviews. Undoubtedly, there's some finite design issues to continue to resolve, but as a whole, we're meeting and complying to all those criteria. We've had a fair amount of research, outreach, and gotten some good, strong feedback, and continue with that. The Uptown Alliance, we met with them. Their comments, I'll paraphrase here, whereas they loved the wider sidewalks and the deeper landscaping being proposed, and felt that added to the neighborhood safety and access challenges that are inherent to the site, which we'll share with you as well. They felt it was a key neighborhood, or quote unquote gateway location, even though it's informal as far as that definition is, but and there's some great opportunity in the programming and the visual reference point of this intersection getting on Lower Queen Anne. They supported the green spaces and the deeper sidewalks, and they also asked to have clear sight lines with any new landscaping. On the right side there with Queen Anne Greenways, very similar comments. They thoughtfully addressed the site's challenges, which were many. They don't believe the alley has any substantial value, as they highlighted there, and it's better use, higher and better use in residential use. They strongly supported the addition of the planting strips around the perimeter as being proposed, and has identified the sidewalks are certainly insufficient to buffer from traffic. They encourage that those strips to be wide enough for larger shade trees and benefit pedestrians. Also, we are scheduled to go back to the Uptown Alliance on May 5th. So we're continuing on with the outreach with various stakeholders. Next chapter, if you will, I want to touch on is the site context analysis and some of these existing conditions. Next slide. And just an overview of this, there are many site challenges that we've been addressing. Namely, there's approximately a 53-foot elevation change from the south end of the site down there on Harrison up to the upper north end of the site. We have received steep slope prohibition that was approved late last year. Notably, on the north end of the buffering, there's 17 tier 2 and 4 trees on that steep slope. We'll touch on that as well. 4th Avenue on the east side of the site has a 15% slope, which is pretty considerable, slower pace there. Harrison even has a 7.5% slope and almost no slope down on Elliott. However, there are some high voltage power lines that we need to address down there. And item number 6 on that bullet point is there's an unimproved right of way on 5th Avenue, which we will also address. Next slide. A little bit more specificity on the site. The alley being proposed to vacate is just under 3,500 square feet. We're shading it 2 shades of yellow there, mainly because the lower part is a lot flatter. That's about 2/3 of it, and then 1/3 of it is on a steep slope of 55% grade, so it's very steep. Of that, I can highlight that we're only touching about half of that, so we're going to leave a lot of that untouched. The shoring for this project would be about halfway down that slope. The dead end, the alley is a dead end, obviously, into the slope, and it reduces accessibility and has less usefulness. And then there also, as I addressed before, there is some considerable safety concerns. One about how it accesses out onto Harrison and Elliott, but also for pedestrian usage as well. So next slide. Just on the site photographs, we'll kind of focus in on those who haven't maybe seen the site. I know a lot of people drive by it, but pictures don't even do it justice. But this is where the alley comes out, ironically, right at the intersection at Harrison and Elliott. It's a very dangerous situation, but there is a curb cut there right now. So, next slide. This is another view of that. You want to zoom out. These are just the different photographs in your packet around the site. The alley, the yellow again highlighting the boundaries of that site.
Yeah,
Boundaries of the alley, I mean.
But this image shows that alley and its relation to their slope.
Again, even at the back end of that alley is 50 feet up to the hill up to Republican. And I make this point again, there is no alley on the next street up is Republican, and there's no alley continuing on up beyond that. Next slide.
We want to talk a little bit about Elliott Street here.
Yeah, the Elliott condition, and we'll do some side by sides. This is a very intimidating environment for the pedestrian. Again, pictures don't do it justice when you look at it, but walking out there. The cars accelerate on them very low. The speed limit is 35. Most cars are doing well over that right there. So I want to address that, and we have been addressing that. Feeds into this traffic pattern diagram, identifying, so there's a full 6 lanes on Elliott, and there is a light at Harrison, but the acceleration at that point is considerable. Harrison Street is a collector arterial. It has a turn lane, but there's 2 lanes with a turn lane there. And then 4th Avenue is a local roadway, 2 lanes, because the steep slope is very slow. So there's quite considerable contextual change on these 3 street facades, which we're also addressing in our design as well. Next, you want to finish on these?
Yeah, I mean, this just really illustrates that Fourth and Harrison are, we identified that as a high pedestrian area, and then Elliott and the rest of it being just really low pedestrian. So I think we talked about this at the last meeting, so we recognize it when we create a diagram for us, and you can see that. And we have a couple of bus stops nearby the project as well.
Yeah, the southbound bus is across the street near those former F5 buildings, nearly aligned where the sidewalk is. Right. We've been following or closely adhering to the Uptown Urban Design Framework. And as mentioned, we've been working closely with the Uptown Alliance on those guidelines. They've created those, but it does have close proximity to Seattle Center as well as the heart of Uptown, even though it is a bit of slope, but it is also, as mentioned, Harrison Street is a major access point on and off to Queen Anne. The next one is way farther north, and this is like the last access point on. And it also, with the street light, it's one of the best ways to get off onto Elliott. There's a few other streets, but that's one of the few points you can get back onto Elliott at a light signal. Next slide, identifying the 9 square grid, and again, the proximity, quite unique characteristics as far as context across Elliott. Is highly commercial. This the figure ground study is also highlighting, showing the different uses, yellow being one of the commercial retail use, and the scale of that to the west and to the south. And obviously, as you go uphill further into the Queen Anne neighborhood, there's more historic scale buildings, smaller scale residential buildings further north. It does have great access to some of these different elements. About 5 blocks to Seattle Center from here. Some of the photos of those existing sites. Speaking of access, there's also some open space. There's a privately owned courtyard for the former F5 buildings across the street, but Myrtle Edwards Park to the west. We're a block away from 3rd Avenue, which has access down on Thomas Street with the overpass that connects over to Myrtle Edwards Park. So that's a nice amenity just a few blocks away.
Yeah, we touched on some of this already, but Elliott is a principal arterial and it's identified as a major freight route that connects the Ballard Inner Manufacturing Industrial Center to the regional highway system. Harrison is a collector arterial, we just mentioned. We touched on this already. The traffic lights and crosswalks are right at the intersection of Harrison and Elliott. And the next one over along Elliott is all the way up near Mercer Street.
So our next chapter to go through on the proposed project, the overview, and we'll go through each of these sections separately. Slide, please. Again, the format, the left side of your screen is the no alley vacation proposal, and then the right side being the alley, the vacated alley. The comparison of the two. On both of these schemes, there's a few of the tier 3 and 4 trees that will be removed. Those are mainly for safety and for the health of the other tier 2 trees. We've been working with an arborist on that. Namely, the key thing by consolidating the parcels through the alley vacation eliminates a lot of redundancy in building services, access, the functionality of the buildings, allows more, in turn, it allows a lot more opportunity for open space that we'd like to leverage and exploit, enhance the walkable streetscape, as well as designs closely with the Uptown Design Guideline.
Yes, maybe this is a good place to talk about Fifth Avenue a little bit because we had some comments from previous meetings. A couple of things to note here. Fifth Avenue is not included as a public benefit for this project. And regardless of the no alley vacation, we will be improving Fifth Avenue. And this is an ongoing coordination through SIP with ESTA and also SPU, solid waste pickup. Also to clarify that we will provide trash staging on site. So hopefully that answers a lot of the questions that you might have on the petition side and then previous meetings.
The access and circulation, again, left to right, the alley vacation side would consolidate for each building would have their own trash and own vehicle access. The inherent conflict comes out of coming and going out there close to the intersection. As well as the west building in this configuration has the lobby over onto Fifth Avenue. There's been some comments pretty continuously through all folks that have reviewed the desire to move the lobby closer to the scale of Queen Anne was a key element. On the right image, again, the benefit of consolidating and through the alley vacation allows the vehicle access to get as far away from the intersection of Harrison and Elliott for safety and security, and also allows for continuous pedestrian experience. With this scheme, we can get close to 620 feet of lineal feet of pedestrian passageway around the building without a curb cut, which is desirable. And then just consolidate that vehicle access, better sight lines, et cetera. So and enhance we'll go into this further in the next slides, but it enhances the pedestrian realm considerably. Excellent.
Yeah, so this is actually showing that pedestrian access, which you touched on.
Yeah, on this pedestrian access, decentralized, sorry, just go back again. Decentralized lobby on the image on your right. We were able to push the lobby to the southeast and address both the gateway element of the neighborhood as well as the pedestrian flows into and out of Queen Anne. So these are a series of side-by-side images to share. Again, the pictures don't do it justice. As bleak as that looks, it is intimidating out there with the curb edge there. Next slide. And the code compliant alley vacation scheme doesn't have sidewalk setbacks as required. The yellow lines indicate where that alley would come out. And
This is a no alley vacation.
no alley, I'm sorry. Obviously a difficult condition to address. Next slide. And this is a diagram of what we're proposing. So there's overall there's the 5 feet of planting strip out to the edge to get some more defensible space. We're able to incorporate shade trees as was requested through design guidelines and other comments from other groups. 6-foot sidewalk, and then we have between a 16 and 17-foot setback from the sidewalk back. So overall, it's somewhere over 26 feet. The building facade allows for a lot more defensible spaces in each of these realms going through, and the landscape architects can identify it and work within that a lot more efficiently on that street. So this diagram shows that open space. You can see, again, we're able to pull in on all sides as well allow some more open space on the 4th and Harrison intersection from the alley vacation scheme, considerably more than twice as much from the minimum setbacks, provides a much better pedestrian experience, improves the public realm. In this image, we're moving over to the south side. So this is on Harrison Street looking east. Existing condition, and then this is the no alley scheme. There's not a setback required here, but it does have the planting strip. And the next slide shows what we're proposing to pull back considerably here. So this aligns with a lot of the design guidelines and the other feedback we've gotten at the lobby. This is the lobby onto the left there. That's highly visible, as well as we've lifted the building up to allow a passageway and a shortcut through this terrain, and we'll go into a little bit more detail there, but opens up and creates a better pedestrian realm as well as a gateway element for the neighborhood. Next image. It's a little higher angle of that same intersection, moving here to Fourth Avenue and Harrison. This is the alley vacation or the non-alley vacation or the alley vacation. No, alley vacation, sorry. Scheme as a compliant. So there is right of way improvements on both sides with extended planting strips. And next image. With our scheme being able to lift the building, pull the building back as well, and be able to show, again, this shortcut. There is as pointed out, there is a bit of grade change here. It's a bit of a hill climb. We feel we can enhance this in many ways, both in paving, respite areas. There's some weather protection in some of it, lighting, and feel in a holistic way we can really incorporate and highlight this pedestrian experience. From cutting the corner, if you will, from down at Elliott up to Fourth Avenue, which a lot of people would be the desire line. This view is from Fifth Avenue, a little higher elevation. Slide. And this is the previous no alley vacation scheme. And to the far right, we did have some open space or a private courtyard, which wasn't accessible, but next slide. So this is the view of how we can pedestrian could experience and cut the corner, whether they're going to the bus stop or further down the corner, how they could experience that. And this is an enhancement. It's a public hill climb, if you will, and continue to work with the Uptown Alliance and some of the details as well as the greenways. This does align with their guidelines as well as their comments. Feel like at later stages we can incorporate wayfinding, signage, lighting, etc. This is another view, a higher aerial view. This was the previous no alley vacation with the private courtyard facing east. And I shared before, again, the building itself is set back, but we've increased the setbacks even further, continue down that hill climb, down the hill, starting to work through ideas such as pollinators and, as I mentioned, other wayfinding, integrate into this in a holistic approach. But the notion that this is for everyone is experiential and in a very enhanced pedestrian realm.
Yeah. So as you can see, there's really no loss of light and air and shadow impact with alley vacation. There's a minimal difference in the impact on adjacent buildings from shadow cast due to the alley vacation option. The existing alley is currently not an ideal place for people to gather in free speech, as you can see. I think we created a really nice corner condition here, with building setback and much more safe, improving lighting. Clear sight lines to centralized area, which is Harrison and Ford. I guess I'll walk through. Yeah, this is the corner of Harrison and Ford. Yeah, just a different angle, but you can kind of see that shortcut path that we're creating under the building overhang.
This one really helps illustrate the opportunity both for the landscaping itself, but also the pedestrian way, and how that might incorporate. It is, again, a bit of a hill climb, but it can be a great experiential opportunity.
Yeah, similar to that light and air, there's really no impact of street vacation on views with alley vacation in this option, between no alley vacation and alley vacation.
The land use and urban form, these tie into some things we've been getting back from the design guidelines from the Uptown design guidelines, but the existing alley bisects it just remains a bit disconnected from the alley network, or it is a disconnect from the alley network, and only serves the adjacent buildings here because it's so isolated. Conversely, the alley vacation scheme, we feel it's an underutilized alley with shifting the space to the urban realm, to the outside of the pedestrian experience. They would help the overall neighborhood context as well as circulation and safety considerably. Creates better connectivity to the neighborhood. We can leverage some natural features in a positive, constructive way. And create a really well enhanced pedestrian experience and gateway to the neighborhood.
Yeah, lastly, utilities wise for no alley vacation, there are two buildings that you have to serve, so the multiple utility line connections to serve that. The alley vacation option, however, is much more efficient, and there's just single building that you need to serve, so you can see the diagram that depicts that. And thank you.
Yep, in some, yeah, we'll continue to refine as we go, as we're simultaneously getting other jurisdictional or departmental reviews as well as other stakeholder neighborhood reviews, but I appreciate any of your comment, feedback. Thank you.
And Brian, before you end, can you go to just the main site plan? I just wanted to make sure I took a step back and some of you were in the subcommittee meeting that we had and some of you were only in the pre-petition meeting and kind of talk through a little bit of what we've done in response to your comments and the comments from all the community members as well. For those that weren't in the subcommittee meeting when we talked about the changes we did in response to you, that the building on the alley vacation side kind of looked almost like a no alley vacation where the bulk really went to that corner and the lobby was on Elliott. And so we heard you about kind of, and the courtyard was basically right where you see it on the no alley vacation. So really opening that up and that corner up and bringing, you know, the lobby and more glass to that corner and the transparency and really making that more of a gateway was something we heard you guys say. And I just want to make sure that it was clear that that was something that we were responding to you guys as well as we work through this. And we are looking forward to your comments on the public trust, but I wanted to make sure that was clear as we went through it.
I guess maybe I'll just highlight those things quickly. The first comment was about providing wider sidewalks. So we are providing wider sidewalks on 4th Avenue, as was discussed before, and we're also providing deeper plantings on 4th Avenue. Another comment was about strong relationship with the neighborhood with a prominent entrance to 4th Avenue's identity. That's moving the lobby over, and which we've done, cooperated that with. Many groups have pointed that out. The other is about the angle massing of 4th Avenue, integrate the hill climb and adjacent space to mitigate slope for 4th, which we've done. Some clarity on the 5th Avenue. We did talk about that the 5th Avenue improvements are not included in the public benefits, but we're improving those on either scheme, actually. And about the building entrance again, citing about the prominent entrance to the building on Harrison and 4th, the formal and informal building entrances. And there's another comment about integrating comprehensive stormwater management, which we are complying with the stormwater management. And we're going to be utilizing the natural slope to do that. There's also comments about wayfinding. Again, we're meeting with Uptown Alliance. They have some wayfinding ideas in their design guidelines that we're going to be addressing and incorporating as well.
Great. Thank you. So Phoebe, I think what we'll do, if this sounds good, we'll have, I don't know that we have public comment today. No, I know that we have agency comment from both Amy Gray and Jackson. Are you on?
Yep, I'm here, Michael.
Great, thank you. Why don't we start with public comment before we shift to questions? Ms. Weems, did you have any comment for us? We have up to 2 minutes of public comment. We'll check back.
Do you want to get closer to some?
Yes. You can sit and hide, but you have to speak louder because
Okay, yes, thank you. So the petition is currently being reviewed by SDOT and the secondary reviewers. Moving forward, our initial comments, our initial review didn't identify any sort of red flags or things that would make the project not move forward. So it's been, but that review will continue to happen throughout the SIP to identify the technical issues that need to be resolved and public benefits that are proposed that will appear at a later meeting are actually feasible and we can make them work for the project. It's a good start. I think it's there's been a lot of thought and put behind this proposal, and we appreciate their willingness to sort of take feedback and thoroughness that they've developed for this. Jackson is going to speak more about the technical issues because he's the expert, I am not. And so, but one thing that we will want to see as we move forward is more clarity between what is public benefit and what is code required and what is mitigation. I don't think there's any mitigation issues here, but so we will want to see that develop more and become more clear so that we can determine whether the public benefit is adequate for what the public is picking up. So thank you.
Jackson, did you have a few comments about some of the technical issues that you're addressing?
Yeah, thanks, Michael. To be honest, I don't. We've reviewed the engineered plans a couple times. There was some back and forth over the design of some of the code required improvements and then some of the public benefit as well. But we resolved all of that with KPFF, and to my knowledge, the design that's in the 30% SIP that I have right now is something that's going to be updated in a manner that SDOT and the applicant team have agreed to mutually. So unless that changes when I get the next plan set, I don't think I have any big technical issues left. But if there's anything that you wanted to hear how we were thinking, like any topics that you wanted to hear SDOT's perspective on that you might think is a technical issue, either that we missed or that we've resolved but we haven't communicated to you already, I'm happy to talk about that.
We might pressure into service during questions. Questions.
We will.
Well, there you go. Maybe we should, we'll go ahead and throw it to Ray to lead the action. Eric, how long can you stay with us today?
I have my next meeting at 2:30, so another 20-ish minutes.
Okay, thank you. Ray?
Yeah, thank you very much for the presentation on 410 West Harrison, the public trust review for the alley vacation. I'm looking at this, as you know, we have 8 categories: circulation, access, utilities, free speech, open space, light and air, views, and land use urban form, which you detailed in your presentation, and which are where we hang our hat in terms of the public trust review. And generally we start with ask questions and clarification asked to you by the commissioners, and then we'll move on to deliberation. And then we'll have a moment after you hear where we're going with deliberation to ask you whether there's anything we've missed we'd like to further add. And then we anticipate going to a vote. And when we make the recommendation, the action could be both additions, also recommendations, but we will get there in an organic way, and you'll be transparent. That said, I just want to note to my fellow commissioners that in our comments back in August, we actually focused on 3, not all 8 of the categories. And I'm really going to basically ask you now if there's some of the categories we need to bring in now, because it was from my reading, streetscape and public realm, connectivity and wayfinding, safety and traffic, district integration, and then transit connectivity all fit within open space, circulation, and land use and urban form, essentially. And so in terms of doing the rounds of questions, I thought maybe we should just have those 3 categories, unless there's something we're just not, if something has struck you through this presentation about access, utilities, free speech, light and air, or views that we need to kind of bring in. And so I'd actually say to start, if you have questions, sort of the first round is those ones that we didn't go on it before. That's how I would do it. I would just do it moving around, starting to my left.
My question relates to circulation, which is one of the earlier
Okay.
categories. I don't have any questions.
These are the outlier questions.
I don't have.
If you have an outlier
I don't
question,
have an outlier.
raise your hand.
I have maybe one.
All right.
On Harrison, and this is probably pointed towards the architects, there's a lift of the building that sort of follows the slope up of Harrison. But I understand that those are not set by floor elevations. That's just an offset of the slope. Maybe you can do the elevation of Harrison.
The rendering might do better.
I was just wondering what sets that, and is that potentially going to be lifted all the way to a floor height such that it's actually even more open, or are we going to purposely keep that down? Because those are not floor heights. There's not apartments above some of that until the next floor up.
Right,
Are we doing a false soffit
correct.
low in order to create this?
Yeah, inside it does a step and
Correct.
it comes down, but, yeah, we are following the slope and we lifted. The previous scheme we showed you was further down, it was compressed.
Yeah.
And then, trying to address a lot of things in a holistic way, but, where the lobby is, but also, the relating to the slope of the site and also being somewhat of a gateway, we lifted the whole building up there or subtracted some area out there.
Yeah.
To lift that out and have a grander space and a grander statement at this intersection. At the same time, allows the opportunity to move more freely underneath there.
You could do that more without affecting your residential count by just stair stepping it, basically.
Well, we did take a complete floor out already for a few units to do this. And it does match the slope of the site, so. Are you, I guess.
Maybe you're not following, like the floor of the apartment does not go up that slope. And so there's an empty void in that somewhere that is
Right, and
just aesthetic for the building.
right. And we had shown, and maybe that was in the subcommittee meeting, we showed a couple different versions of stair stepping it or just sloping this line. Got pretty strong feedback, the slope of the line looks aesthetically better.
Harrison is a relatively short street and there's already about 10-foot elevation difference between Elliott and Harrison. So this is another way, it doesn't seem that way, but it is. So that's kind of.
I think it's great. I'm acknowledging that things like this sometimes get BE'd out and we end up with a stair step building.
Got it.
Like,
Gotcha.
Got it.
because this is more expensive than stepping it with the internal apartments, right? I like the clean line. I just know that it might not stay, right?
And Brian, just, unlike a lot of projects that are going in Seattle right now, this one is subject to design review, so we'll be subject to, what we present at design review.
Oh, you'll have to hold
Yeah.
it. That's
Yeah.
okay. And then at the very top of the stair climb, there's a couple areas of like the sidewalk merging in with the street there. Are those drop offs or what?
This zone right here, Brian.
Yeah, there's some big,
Yeah,
Okay.
that would be, there would be a drop off.
Probably a loading zone in that realm. That's the best location to put any kind of loading zone. Right there.
We also have Fifth Avenue too for.
It's a quieter street.
Yeah.
This could be more like ride share.
those are my only
We have
questions.
For
with
service,
clarification.
for service,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We have both.
Okay, so maybe we should do the next one, sort of, is there anything regarding circulation? If there's anything that's, if you've seen the follow-up to our other comments, or any questions about circulation? Yeah.
So thanks, Ray. So if you could go to the vacation versus, one of the vacation versus no vacation.
Yes.
That'd be great.
In plan or?
Either perspective, it can be perspective. I mean, that's fine. This could be a question either for the design team or for SDOT, probably maybe a little bit of both. So I agree with the no vacation option, but that alley is in about the worst place it could possibly be. Wonder what the planning thinking was back in the day. With regard to the vacation though, the advantage, as you pointed out, is it is pushing the access further away from the intersection. But it really, and I know you're not using Fifth as part of your public benefit, but it really, since that is your essentially only access point, it makes me wonder what the treatment of Fifth Avenue and Elliott is going to be. Elliott is a principal arterial, obviously a really busy street. So it is, I think it is pertinent to vacation because the vacation is pushing all of your access to that point. So I'm just curious what the design treatment will look like at that site. I mean, it may still be in design and that's fine, but just curious what the thinking is.
We have substantial agreement on that element between the design team and SDOT in that we do not want to treat it like a traditional curb return. Rather, it will look like a driveway pan. So it will be a right-of-way intersection for all legally, but in terms of the design, it will look more like a driveway pan that keeps the pedestrian corridor along Elliott planar and raised. And normally we wouldn't put the truncated domes on a sidewalk driveway crossing, but because this is technically an intersection, it will have truncated domes at the at that crossing. So the goal there is that vehicle access can happen, but that the pedestrian corridor is prioritized along that stretch.
Will left turns be allowed in and out?
So SDOT has requested that the project do right in, right out. There is a two-way left turn lane. This is not a fatal flaw or the project would like to just continue that discussion through the SIP process.
Okay.
But it isn't something that we would.
There's a left turn lane for Harrison. I mean, to turn left onto Harrison, but it does not extend down to Fifth as well.
So SDOT has communicated that they would like the project to make that a right in, right out.
Okay, and without seeing the detail, that seems like a logical safety step. And I guess I just think that intersection treatment is important for the vacation decision because that is the sole access. So I appreciate that it's still in design. I'm glad there's general agreement between SDOT and the design team, but I think when we see the final, that would be good to get more clarification. My only other circulation, Jackson, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I'll just briefly add, Amy said at the beginning, we're not committed to any mitigation requirements right now. I did just want to flag, we do have a transportation analysis from Transpo Group, and it includes turns in and out of that driveway. So our signal engineers are reviewing that, and it is possible that a right in, right out could be a mitigation requirement that comes out of that review. That's not a requirement that that's not a decision that we've made at this time, but we asked like Jeremy said, we asked the team to study it in advance.
Thank you. The only other question I have, Ray, on circulation is, I know that main bike access in this area is from Thomas. And then I think when you come off, I've done this, I should remember. When you come off Thomas, I think you end up on 3rd. I don't think there's any major bike circulation around this site, is there?
That's correct. No, we don't.
Okay,
yeah,
there's no like lanes or anything proposed for Fourth. And I don't think
As
there are
a
now.
normal course of due diligence, we do research that with SDOT and Jackson can correct me if I'm wrong, but our research was that there is no comprehensive plan elements along any of these frontages.
That's my recollection as well. I just wanted to.
They primarily go down 3rd and then
Right.
are directed to the overpass.
Exactly. That's what I remember. The main access is really when we'll run through.
Yeah, and Kevin, our 9-block analysis wasn't in the one from last week that you guys got, but it's in here and it shows where the bike lanes are. Just when we send that out, you can see it as well.
Are you guys going to be at 60? When do you want to come for public benefit?
It is possible.
We'd have to do it after the DRB, which is, we're hoping for July.
Yeah.
So,
How far are you away? So the question is, how far are you away from 60%? Because I think whatever your resolution is at fifth, I think they need to see that as part of your public benefit
Yeah.
package. It's not public benefit, but I think that really needs to be
For
resolved.
context.
Yeah.
I think it's actually more pertinent than public trust decision almost.
Sure, but I think that as you're working along, whatever that final solution is gonna be.
Yeah, no, totally agree. I think I'm optimistic that we're within 30, 40 days of kind of alignment. There's a couple additional studies that we've done related to ECAs in fifth and some requests from SDOT, and there are no tough, we're just converging on some fine points, I think, at the moment.
That's it for me, right? The questions, thank you.
Yeah, I just, before he goes, I want to see, Eric, do you have any questions in any category to ask the team?
Yeah, thank you everyone for the presentation. I think I used to live over in Queen Anne and have walked along Elliott Ave, and it's quite a challenging pedestrian experience. So I'm glad to see, especially with the alley vacation proposal, like how wide that area is. And I guess two questions. I don't know what categories they belong in, but I was curious about that kind of community engagement. And it sounded like you were working with Queen Anne Greenway and Uptown Alliance. Were those the primary community engagement strategies, was working through those organizations, or was there any other kind of targeted groups that you guys wanted to or had worked with for this project?
Our average person is not here, but yeah, no, she has reached out to other people as well. But since we're going through the design review process, there are other aspects of it.
And we had a public meeting in August of last year that was posted, through the normal channels.
Gotcha. Yeah, thank you. I guess I also should have prefaced, I unfortunately was not at the pre-design or the subcommittee meeting, so this whole project is kind of new to me. And then I think Brian already started to ask about this, but I was curious, yeah, that treatment along 4th Ave in terms of the public realm. It looked like you had the kind of cutout of the sidewalk to offer a bench, and then I think I heard about the, ride share options, or I don't know what to call them, but kind of drop off areas. I was curious what the space between the sidewalk and towards the upper part of the hill, the facade of the building, looks like terraced planting area. Is that right?
Right. That's quite steep in there. And so there's a series of terraced planters in there. And the setback is roughly 15 feet.
Along 4th. Yeah, along 4th, actually. Yeah. So two building about 17 feet and a total of close to 35 to 40. Depending on, because we're angling the building.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
from
I guess I was just
from the sidewalk to the building face is 17 feet on that condition, which is similar to Elliott as well.
right. Yeah, I suppose I was just curious. I do like the bench that is kind of shown in the front of the frame there. I was curious if there was any opportunities towards the top of the hill as well. I can't remember if there's any paths towards the that side of the building, but yeah, I guess those were my questions for now.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
So I was thinking maybe to continue the sequence and focus on circulation questions, and then we can get to the open space and then use urban form. Or you're hitting on a couple of them, but we can still try to do a circulation fence back.
I had a circulation question for the public thoroughfare that you're cutting through the space. Have you done an analysis for accessibility in terms of like wheelchair users? What will the experience be for people who are not able to enjoy that hill climb that you spoke about?
We haven't analyzed it fully. the head landscape is out this week, but there is some areas on the sidewalk that you can sweep into these areas and experience it at 3 different levels.
And what would be the motivation to do that? In terms of an experience? What-
Well, we haven't gotten to the design elements specifically, but I know the notions that were thrown around, like having, one is gonna be some wayfinding and there'll be some art elements as well, but also some of the specific planters have different pollinators and different themes on them. We do want to make this a experiential opportunity and both if you go through it on the steps, but also from the perimeter. And there's an ample amount of, robust landscaping there too. So, ability to work with.
Can I just lump the questions together?
You can, because otherwise it takes too long, but also, it's the segue.
I'll segue. Yeah, so I think, just like looking at the hill climb and, if we looked at this in subcommittee as well, it does provide a much more interesting way to experience that slope and, kind of diverge from the public sidewalk effect. But I think we asked this before and we'll continue to wonder, and so it gets at public realm through circulation, is how that does really feel public. I think Seattle has, it's hilly. We have a robust system of hill climbs kind of throughout the city that are sometimes, about them, they're sometimes like these kind of secret places, and this could kind of be one of those. But because it goes under the cantilever building, it starts to feel like it's more part of the site as opposed to part of the public realm. So again, you're a public trust, but how does that space start to feel much more like public? Because that is the ask here. What are some of the thoughts you've had so far?
We did take your points from before and we collectively been talking about it, and again, we'll come back with you for some more specificity, but some of the things we're talking around was like distinguish the paving and have that clearly identifiable from top to bottom. And then also we think there's some ways with wayfinding, whether it be tiles inset, pointing or actual standing signage. The other aspect is on lighting. We think we can distinguish it quite well with lighting that would identify that as well. But also I think on the top and bottom points of just how that design, you sweep in or you go off path a little bit. It's almost like a goat path, or an animal path that you're like, oh, this feels normal. So I think there needs to be some kind of demarcation out on both of the sidewalks from top to bottom. We can play with, but again, we're working with landscape architects, the Uptown Alliance and the owner and all this together and coming up with some different ideas that we can come back with you on the public benefit part.
Great. And those planters that you see, I think Eric was asking about them in the landscape that, kind of the tilt ups.
Mhm.
And that is just simply to avoid having just kind of a steep grade. Is it just, what is the intent behind this?
Well, there's the grade is really steep.
Yeah.
And there's considerable soil to hold back. And we also talked about the stormwater, but and we thought it would be evocative to play, and again, a holistic design kind of play off the angular site, angles of the building and the aspects. And so, that's the concept, but the primary function is just to hold back the amount of soil that there is. So, but again, we want to, again, have it be intentional, have it be thoughtful. You can also incorporate art into it, either on the face, sandblast or, laser cut or other ideas that we will come back with you.
And then the last thing is just how big is that planting strip on Fourth? How wide is that?
From the building face all the way to the.
No, just the planting strip, so that could curve to
edge.
back to
Yes.
the edge of sidewalk.
I believe
I think it's 15.
15.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite generous.
Okay.
Well, so done segue. So let's, now it's anything really kind of into land use urban form and open space, which tend to run into each other a little bit. So, I guess Ruben, I think going backwards in order. Was, anything on your mind?
No, it's yeah, it's in subcommittee, so
Okay,
pretty
so
well,
got a lot of,
pretty well versed, so.
Could we go to the plan view of the site for the no alley and alley vacation? I just had a question about what your thoughts are for the north side of the site where the grade does become so really strong. Like I see, and I know we're early on in the public trust analysis of it, but what is the thought for the difference in treatment between that strip of planting and trees in the north area of the parcels?
Is this just to clarify, the north,
Where the trees are.
northeast corner or the existing trees?
Existing and what would occur if it were to develop it.
Just to clarify the difference. So
Yeah.
there's a tier 2 trees we're preserving here. And then this will be replanted in here, but this is 30
about 25 from the,
from the building face back to the property line. There's a parking lot for this apartment building right here. And the grade starts. So our shoring line is in here. So this will be terraced planting in here. This is going to be the retained tier 2 trees that are enhanced. And then we'll have some terrace planters that come down into this courtyard. Probably a similar vocabulary what we're doing out on the street.
Okay, so that courtyard, is that accessible to people who are engaging with your goat hill?
It'll be visually, we have a portal in the building. It'll be visually, you can visually see through, but there's a lot of units that come right to grade in there.
Okay,
So
thanks.
Yeah, we really tried to focus the circulation all in the public realm, kind of keep it on the exterior of the site instead of, trying to focus on the interior of that, which is a recommendation we've had on other projects that we've gone through vacation as well, is really kind of focus on that public realm element.
And for private use, is it accessible, that area, or is it just a visual experience?
for the tenants. it is.
For the tenants?
Yeah.
open space.
No questions,
Form.
just support.
Great. So I think there's one thing that as I think we've discussed, and it's that we are particularly concerned about the boundary to the north, in part because it's our understanding, and I believe I have it correctly, that this is a likely site for Sound Transit to use, just immediately to your north for construction purposes for the tunnel. That's the laydown space, so we understand it. And it just, it doesn't necessarily impact this review per se, but it just means that the attention to that edge is really critical in terms of, because there may be a great deal of activity there in the future. Again, sort of beyond the categories, but just something we wanted to comment on as folks working for the good of the city. And also in that same realm, I guess I just want to double check with Kevin whether you feel that you got to the full set of questions you had about the Fifth Avenue cul-de-sac.
Yeah, I think the design, the specific design treatment of the cul-de-sac itself and whether there's sidewalks or whatever, I trust that the design team and that's a sort of an internal function, safety. I was really more concerned about the overall vehicle safety at Elliott and Fifth. I'm sure everybody is. So I think I would, just candidly, I would feel more comfortable with an enthusiastic thumbs up on public trust if we have that completely figured out. I do think we should vote today. So I don't know how we might want to recommend, what we might want to recommend around that. But I think, I think the commission as a whole probably all feels that way. We just want to make sure that's a really safe, well-designed. I certainly don't feel super comfortable with left turns in and out there without a signal. I doubt you want a signal there, but so anyway, so that's still with me. Brian?
I just wanted to challenge that a little bit. Right? I think that the alley as the access point for an A and a B is far more problematic than a Fifth Avenue thing. And I think the design team will need to solve entrance to property, whether it is the alley or Fifth Avenue. I think it's far harder to solve the alley problem than it is to solve the Fifth Avenue problem. And I think our friends in all the different agencies probably rather solve the Fifth Avenue problem than the alley problem. And I think we have a lot more success across the board if that's the case.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that.
I'm not interested in putting a solve Fifth Avenue so that you can get the alley vacation from us. Because I think that's actually a more solvable thing. I would probably encourage the right in, right out solution, just because crossing Elliott is hard now and it probably will be more hard in the future. But that's something that we need to solve, whether it's the alley or.
If you are,
How do you feel about that?
yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I think the alley, the current alleys is a terrible access point.
Oh.
Fifth Avenue is a much better access point, but that still gets to the.
We still need to
It
solve.
matters how it's designed, right? Exactly. And I think the vacation decision we're making, if we go thumbs up on public trust, means we're endorsing that Fifth Avenue, which is fine if we know it's going to work, right? I mean, that was the only point I was making. No question it's a better solution, but it still has to be solved.
I think I'm endorsing taking the alley problem off of the table completely.
Yeah,
Right?
that's
That's
what-
terrible.
And that's what the public trust decision factored in.
If you are 30 to 45 days out, I think if you vote today, I think that makes perfect sense. I think coming back though for a subcommittee to look at the solution there before you come for public benefit, because there is going to be a gap
Yeah.
between
Yeah.
getting to design review, I think is more than appropriate. So people who are most concerned about that, if we can have you come back maybe in 45 days to look at the solution.
Yeah,
That'd be
I like
perfect.
that. I like that idea.
So I think before we turn it back to you for any final clarifications, I just want to read the room a little bit. My sense is that we may have some recommendations here, but I didn't hear a condition. And so I if I misread that, I would love to know. And I have a beginning sense of the recommendations, but I think we can sort of start saying them. I would say that we have something to say as a recommendation about the hill climb. It may be just reinforcing what's already there, but pushing for some things that we consider really important. I think we may or may not have something to say on the importance of designing Fifth Avenue. Well, we can say the importance of designing Fifth Avenue entrance.
I think we did say that, and I think our follow-up subcommittee is a
Absolutely.
good way to
Absolutely.
solve that. So I think we need to say
Okay. And then I think some of the things that were brought up, I think, Brian, if I understood kind of your questions were kind of satisfactorily answered, because in fact, the goal was to, by learning essentially that they're in design review, it sort of is reassuring that the form that they've chosen in terms of the way the building's handled, which I would say is an urban form question, is hopefully going to be not get value engineered out. So it's promising that we can complement it in our statement as well. In some way, sort of say that we appreciate what's part of a recommendation that it's great to have and keep going.
I think I'm mostly interested in making sure that that doesn't press down onto the public realm, right? Like getting higher, fine, right? But again, with slope and units, that will be a balance.
Okay, and that aligns with some of Phoebe was saying as well. I think in many ways, just sort of being conscious of that, try to make sure that the area underneath is actually recognized as part of the larger semi-public kind of space visually and otherwise. I
Part
know
of that.
answers to that, but yeah.
Oh, well, just to join in on that,
Yeah,
I
please.
think part of that would also be maybe contemplating treatments, material treatments for the underside of the buildings. We have a great example of that, even though the scale is very different with the convention center summit building, that really wonderful reflective surface. That's the underside of the building. That's also a pedestrian, important thoroughfare on Pine.
Or like two and you, sort of a wood soffit. Nice.
Some of that Amazon buildings where they're treated that
a lot of
side with visual.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that whole conversation is really about that kind of that three-dimensional space that you're forming. And that articulation is ground plane, ceiling plane, the columns, potentially those tilt-up planters and the planting, that's all part of the composition to make that feel like a true experience and then really that give back to the public realm.
And as part of that first circulation, really thinking about what it's like for someone who's accessing it from like a wheeled user. You were talking about rain protection as being one of the benefits of it. So would someone be able to experience shelter if they were a wheelchair user or bike or?
Right. Those streets are beyond wheel compatible,
Yeah.
so
That's true. Mhm.
I'm hesitant to put that kind of a layer on top of this, because if you just can't get there, then once you're there, how do you use it? Is a question in my head, but I don't know where I'd resolve on that.
Someone with a motorized wheelchair would use, I mean.
I think Harrison is
able to use
more
Ford.
accessible than Fourth. Fourth is a
15+.
huge.
Yeah.
So then if you were to go with the idea of motorized user, right, because it's like the replacement in the public realm is not, it's already inaccessible, right, per standard, the sidewalk. So then, then it kind of parlays to like what those exterior spaces are, right? And like talked about the tops and bottom spaces and how that is actually part of that complete hill climb, right? And then that's usable because they're not gonna be using the stairs, they're in the chair. So like how that is a whole experiential.
What do you mean by tops and bottoms?
The little carve out with the seat, in that, which I think is viable because it's a 15-foot planting strip, right? So I do think that is actually a potential space, maybe the bench wants to not stack exactly to the street, but whatever, it's not a design yet, but I think, yeah, there is a space there, maybe not weather protection, but that is an offering to the public realm that's not within their line. And is there something that correlates with the base as well?
Do something where they can get there.
Okay.
Actually, in the middle too, there's an intermediary place too. So starting to look at those access points as unifier zones. Wow.
I had a couple questions that would be more for the public benefit side of it. I know we're in the transcript, just something to ask for the team since we'll be seeing you at that next. Is that an okay time?
Sounds good. That's time.
Okay. I appreciated about how you're thinking about this as kind of a gateway location and also connecting with what Phoebe was just talking about, thinking about other locations that may be to public benefit. I'm wondering about potential art enhancements that could really support that gateway feeling. Perhaps at this corner location we're looking at, or maybe on Elliott, for even for a driver experience. I'm not sure, but anyways, that was just something that I'm wondering about is what you could do for your art enhancements that encourage that gateway experience beyond the smaller treatments you alluded to with sandblasting or planters.
So any other, I think, so it looks to me like we're going to be saying a number, few key bullets, which I may not have in my head just yet, but they're coming on, the southeast corner and how it's treated as it's more the southeast corner, but it's sort of that intersection and then moving upwards from there about the hill climb and various strategies to make it more visually and open and more resonant and richer. And those so far mostly were design terms, but then we just entered the potential for art resolutions as well, enhancements as well. We are going to comment, though mostly just support to keep going and but be sure to do the work on the Fifth Avenue circulation issue on the access. And that is largely it. I mean, there are a couple more bullets that I will articulate in a moment, the best of my ability. We can finish, but I think maybe now there may be, I think you have a sense of where we're going now, and maybe this is a good time to ask you if you had anything else you wanted to say for our clarification that we missed out on.
Questions back to us.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Just one comment. I mean, I tuned you with my project, so I went through it. I wish everyone was here.
Yeah.
Like, Jan, so my cousin, my aunt, my sister from Montana, she was here when she felt like it was public.
Yeah.
And so I think she would always say that.
She does,
And
yes.
so I was, when you raised the question about the stepping, I was thinking about actually, we went through this on Tune You and Michael knows it very well, like,
Absolutely.
is it public enough? Is there enough volume? I mean, I think this whole move was to create that type of experience and to make it not feel forced.
Yeah.
Like it needs to like, and so I, like the treatment of the soffit, like, I'm not sure I want to have a ton of bling there. We went through that in two. Like to me, the soffit though does matter. It's a different plane and it creates a different type of experience. And so I think that it hasn't been designed, yet. There's an opportunity there. And so I think we'll spend time focusing on that corner because that, given the constraints of the site, is the real, I think, opportunity to do a bunch of different things, other things. So I guess my comment is I hear you and I was thinking about it as you were talking that this is where we're going to do it. And there are opportunities. It's just not all figured out yet. So thank you for the comments.
It's also your front entrance and
Right.
where you're probably going to spend a lot of your time focusing on anyway. So
There's a lot.
I'm not that worried about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of logical reasons why all this energy can
Yeah.
come together right here.
But it's also, if you think about it, we heard you in moving the lobby, which I think was a great decision to move it off of Elliott, but also that it's not sitting necessarily right there either. One of the public benefit zones that's gotten a lot of criticism is and it's no offense to Vulcan project, down South Lake Union, and there's a public right of way between two lobbies. And we went through this with Beverly. It was like, that was a public benefit, but it's really just an access point to two lobbies.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's this, I guess is my point, because the lobby's still there, but this whole zone is much more public facing and less of just a byproduct to get to someplace.
And that was the issue with 2 and U. To get to those public spaces, you don't have to go through a lobby.
Correct.
The problem was, how visible do you make it so it seems like you can actually go around that? And I can not only, it's wide enough for me to feel like I can get up, but I can see through it and I know where I'm going. You may have the same challenges here, but I appreciate that you're channeling our favorite project.
And I don't work for that company anymore, and it's unfortunate, like, that whole vision and COVID not happened. I mean, we had all those retail spaces. It would have been, unfortunate, it would have been a different experience today. I think the moves were still the right ones to create a public space and to create a sort of hill climb, but, and this is not that, but I appreciate you.
It's a mini version.
It's a mini version.
And I think, I feel like I'm always the voice of like, let's not try to pack too much into anything, so like, this is a totally different scale, right? It doesn't have to be a mini version of that. It's a very low traffic, pedestrian low traffic, place in the city. I think like one of the most simplest joys of like urban experience is just like being able to cut a corner, And so like if there's like a really nice stare down, you get to cut that corner if you're walking along and there's just a few nice things around like that. I think that's great.
And maybe your drive for 30 seconds, right? Like,
By the way, we measured it 620 feet around the perimeter of the pedestrian realm, and if you cut the corner, you cut at least 40 feet off.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the other things I think we talked about in the subcommittee is that from this corner, so what is this? So
Harrison and Fourth.
thank you. You dare say that. You know, there was kind of a direct line into the project, and I was looking at that, the gasket between the two volumes, and it feels like it's not curved. And doesn't point you to something where you're not supposed to go. So I think that that's a really positive. I just wanted to comment on that.
Yeah.
Evolution that it does help draw the energy towards the part that's public and not direct you to something that you're not trying to go to. It's
Yeah, and I think there was some other imagery we saw last time that wasn't in this deck, but yeah, I think like, to me, the gasket is not very impactful, like I could kind of do with it or without it, kind of in the same way of thinking, like if it's something that feels like it's a private project, that almost takes away from your interest in going down that way, you know, if it's more of a sidewalk passing by a building, and kind of, you know, it's public space, feel it as a public space rather than like entering into someone else's front yard, you know, just, I think there are little things that can, you know.
I had one question just following up from what Eric had asked that I would love to hear more about during the public benefit presentation, which is just a little bit more information about community outreach. I know you mentioned that team member isn't here today. It looks like there's a lot, you know, you mapped out a lot of multifamily residential units that surround it. I'd be curious to hear more specifically from perspectives of folks that are living there alongside your two main partners that you spoke about.
Yeah,
Well, go ahead.
oh, we've done door to door. Yeah, we have all the survey results. We just didn't include it here, but they are
So we'll
included in
add
the petition though. We include all that results in the petition itself. So that's available. But we'll definitely include it as a part of a public benefit.
Yeah, and Kate, I'm really glad you brought that up, because I think it'd be great to hear if there were comments on the public benefit specifically, because I mean, a lot of projects there are, people really drill down on that aspect. So I think the public comments you've shared to date are helpful, but when we get to public benefit, if there are specific comments about public benefit that you can share with us, I think it's really helpful from the neighborhood.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you guys know, during this process, it's an evolution of public outreach, right? And we have all of these touches. So we'll continue to update that and make sure that we have a full recitation of what's happened in the past 2 years at this point.
I mean, I think we're really well set up for the public benefit conversation with what you've shown today. That would be a good opinion. Anything else?
Can I ask one more question? Go back to questions.
Yes,
This doesn't have to be a comment. It doesn't have to be a comment. Well, it's something that Michael and I were talking about, just your stormwater strategy. I think you mentioned it. We're just curious. Again, does that happen for today? Just putting it on the radar of what you're thinking for stormwater and OSM.
Yeah, the principal from Hewitt, we're working on that piece of spring break right now.
Okay.
But yeah, it's primarily on this side circulating around now. I don't want to put Rachel on the spot because she's new to the project.
I mean, we're complying with the code. That's obviously what we're doing, but then we're off this natural slope, so we're utilizing that and see how we can integrate with the design rather than.
So you're talking about integration. Yeah. So just as that kind of comes up, bubbles up.
Right.
Visible in the next stages.
Yeah.
I think the other thing I'm gonna add to that, we've got a chunk of this that is on terra firma, which is helpful as well.
Yep.
The garage is not under all of this. So
Okay.
that's
Okay, I'm gonna turn to Michael for a moment, and Phoebe, is it, we can, move ahead with a, action?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, it's, a little rough right now, but it's gonna say it out loud, and hopefully be all right. Okay. The Seattle Design Commission approves the public trust analysis for the 410 West Harrison project, specifically regarding the Harrison Alley vacation. We would like to note that we appreciate the positive changes and improvements in land use and urban form, open space, and circulation. we'd also make the following recommendations regarding circulation. Critical to resolve the design of the Fifth Avenue entry, given the high speed and volume of elevated traffic. Typically, we have not in the action itself, but we have confidence that that work is undergoing. But at the same time, we wanted to highlight that as a recommendation. In terms of land use and urban form, we wanted to recommend that southeast corner and the area of the hill climb, those areas where there's the building cutout, that we greatly appreciate the changes, but at the same time note that this is a unique opportunity to design a three-dimensional space, which can through visual, through plantings, through materials, and communicate its connection to the public realm as effectively as possible. And that the third recommendation is actually takes us it's simply that we would like to hear more as in the next phase about the stormwater management approach, and that we would also like we look forward to hearing more and seeing the fully materials on the engagement that you've described. The next statement on this, the last one, is that looking ahead to the benefit review, we would like to note that there is an opportunity for art enhancements, both in the context of that, what I'll call the three-dimensional southeast corner space, and also on Elliott, for example. And with that, I realize it's a little wordier than I intended, but I will turn to you all and see whether you're ready to vote.
Well done.
So, and just remember, if you vote against, you need to explain. That doesn't mean you can't, just good to know. Reasons, votes for, aye. Yeah. Okay.
No one wanted to explain.
So I don't have to ask votes against or abstentions, because there are none. Okay, the motion passes. All right, well, thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you for your comments.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And while it wasn't a condition, yeah, I think let's see what we can do sooner rather than later. And then we'll talk more about your timing relative. And I know you told me the 5 times, but when is your design review?
We're targeting July, but we're still gathering up comments right now, so.
Oh, you are, okay.
Yeah, so, but we're hoping for July.
We're ready, but we're waiting.
They're not backed up.
What's the timing of the month?
In terms of,
In terms of approval of the month?
we're hoping if everything goes the way
Yeah.
we're like, I think early January.
Okay.
Okay.
But the July 1st BRB is what we're hoping for.
Great, thank you.
Thank
And
you so much.
I think that's the end of the meeting unless there's anything else.
Michael, one quick question. Would it be a good idea and we may need to circle back to confirm